So a man once came to a Sufi and said, I want to see reality. The Sufi handed him a mirror. But this is just my own face. The questioner looks like an innocent seeker. Does he not? When you ask about truth, anything is acceptable as the answer, but your own truth. You look at the religious literature of the entire world, everything under the sky is potentially holy and divine and fine. Going to something so that you can momentarily forget yourself. You have been hijacked. It's a kidnapping. And that's exactly the purpose. So that you don't have to look at the ego is the traveler and the ego is also the road. What else is entirely necessarily accessible to you? If you can bear your own face, you might begin to see what lies behind it. Right. The mirror. From the Magic Monastery by Idries Shah. So a man once came to a Sufi and said, I want to see reality. The Sufi handed him a mirror. The man looked into it. But this is just my own face, he exclaimed. The Sufi said, correct. The first thing you see is always yourself. But keep looking. If you can bear your own face, you might begin to see what lies behind it. Right. So, when we talk of reality, truth, or satya, in spiritual, metaphysical, or ontological terms, we tend to mean or imagine something distant, abstract, vague, unreachable, and unknowable. So in the same way, this man goes to the Sufi with a certain expectation of the answer. He is apparently asking a question, a very ancient question and a very common question. What is reality? I want to see reality. But behind the question is a well set, preconceived, and very solid expectation of what the answer should be. The questioner is very subtly trying to put or confine the answerer, the respondent, the Sufi, within a framework. You answer, but you answer within the framework, the structure, the limits, the circumference I have already imagined and set for you. So I am throwing a question at you. The question is apparent. The question can be seen. However, along with the question, I have also thrown a confinement at you, right? And I am telling you In fact, because it's a no confinement, so we won't be wrong if we say, I am ordering you to stay within the paradigm I have provided. Look, such deception. The questioner looks like an innocent seeker, does he not? Sir, I beseech, what is reality? Sir, I know nothing. Kindly illuminate. But it's not all so neat and straightforward. This questioner or any other, there is always an attempt to confine the respondent, even if the respondent is a teacher. You might be the teacher, you might be God Almighty, for all I care. But you will have to answer within the framework subtly implicit in my question. You could be anybody. I give it to you. You are the all-knowing, wisest man in the world. Given. But still, the ego is here. And the ego says, yes, you will answer, but you will answer within the limits prescribed by me. You are free within the perimeter set by me. Yeah, you are free. You will answer. I don't know what you will answer, but irrespective of what you say as the answer, it should not challenge the boundaries I have set for you. Get it? Okay. Now we'll go into what the boundaries are as implicit in the question. The question is, sir, what is the reality or what is the truth? The teacher is free to respond. The teacher has been set free to respond by the pupil, by the disciple, questioner. Any answer in the entire universe, the teacher can choose. Any answer, any principle, story, this, that, anything the teacher can pick up as an answer. And that is all right with the student. Anything in the universe is acceptable. So, the teacher has been given a pretty long rope. As long as the universe itself. As long as the universe itself. So, you can come up with any answer containing any object, any principle, anything, any imagination contained in the entire universe. So you will say, sir, you said the questioner wants to confine the answerer in some limits. If the rope is so long that the teacher is free to answer as per his infinite wish, then there are no boundaries apparently. Where are the boundaries? And for 10 minutes you kept on saying that whenever a question is asked, along with the question, limits are set. Where are the limits if the teacher has all the freedom in the universe to answer in any way he pleases? Where are the limits? You tell me, where are the limits? Where is the truth? That's the question. Or what is the truth? That's the question. And the teacher can pick up anything in the universe and respond. And that would be as per the deal. The student would not object. The student would say, yes, fine. this does not breach my expectations. The teacher could say the truth is God Almighty sitting above the seventh sky. Would the student object? No. No, because the answer is as per the student's expectation and within the limits set by the student. So the student would be all right. Or the teacher could say, well, the truth is entirely unknowable. So you need not worry about truth. You should worry about more immediate things like social conduct, your responsibilities, how to be a good citizen, how to be accountable to religious masters. These are the things you should worry about. And the student would again be all right, because this again is within the limits set by the student. Or the teacher could say, well, the reality is that this, all that you see is very real. This itself is reality. So your body is the truth, this mug is the truth, this mic is the truth, these birds, the earth, the soil, the trees, they are the veritable truth. And again the student would nod and happily agree. Why? Then what is outside the limits set by the student? If everything is going to be acceptable to the student, everything in the entire universe is going to be acceptable to the student, then what is it that is outside the limits set by the student? When you ask about truth, anything is acceptable as the answer, but your own truth. When you say, tell me the reality, you talk of reality as something outside of you. You will never agree that the reality is, in the purest sense, your reality. That the truth is actually your truth. You want to objectify truth. You want to say, that's where the truth is. And that which is there and can be pointed to using your finger is an object. You want to objectify truth. What's the role of the teacher? To defy your expectations, to bring down the framework you have set. Who are you? You are a mere questioner. Why would I respect the framework you want to confine me in? I will not limit myself as per your expectations. Your expectation is to objectify truth, to place the truth somewhere in the physical or mental universe. Either it will be an object physically, or you want me to give you an idea, a concept, a principle, which would again be an object mentally. Either way, grossly or subtly, you want to objectify the truth. And why will I participate in this kind of desire you have? You have the desire to, and it's a very, should I say silly, should I say evil desire? Because if the truth is out there somewhere, then who are you? If the truth is out there somewhere, the truth is there, then who am I? The truth is there, then who am I? False. And that's what. The ego wants to insulate itself from the touch of truth. Without knowing that doing so would render it altogether false. So it is evil and also very silly. Very silly. Very silly. But that's what we want to do. And the teacher has done what any real teacher does. He said, forget about cosmic energies, and heavenly principles. This is the truth. And shown him a mirror. Look at your face. Once I said something and you made a poster out of it. I said, no truth is truth if it is not your truth. That's what. That's what. Truth is not out there. When truth is established somewhere out there, that is sacrilege. That's distortion. That's what Lok Dharma does. It places the truth out there, up there. Up the hills or along the rivers. That's where the truth is. And if the truth is there, then you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry. It's there anyway. Fine. I can lead my life. That's not something that the highest category of wisdom literature ever accepts. You find rejection of the external truth here in this little sweet parable and in Vedanta. When it is declared that Brahma and Atma are one. What is Brahma? The truth of the universe, the existential truth. What is Atma? The personal truth. The personal truth. They are one. And how do you know the truth? Whether the universal or personal one? Well, you have to start with yourself. Because that's the only place you have a lot of access to. Do you have access to the entire universe? No. But that's not very bad news. Why? Because the truth out there is anyway the truth in here. So you start with yourself, hence the mirror. Hence the mirror. I am Atma, Brahma. That's the mirror. No truth, no God is somewhere there. Here. If you want to worship a God, then that God has to be another name for truth, right? Or you want to worship the false? No. If you want to worship God, then God has to be truth itself. And that truth has to be your personal truth within you, at your own core. That's what the story seeks to convey. Getting it? You will have to start looking at yourself. Ahankar, your ego, your current state, your personal location, situation. That is the only means or sadhan. By definition, a road that takes you to some place or a rope you can use as a hook to catch something must first of all be accessible to you at your end, no? If there is a great road and both its ends are very far from you, of what use is that road? Beautiful road, wide, well paved, but one end is 13,000 kilometers away from you, the other end is 14,000 kilometers away from you. What will you do with such a road? Whereas you could have a road 1,000,000 kilometers long, but if it starts where you are, then the road is useful, is it not? The road has to start where you are, and one end of the rope has to be in your hands. Then the rope, the road, or any other means, they become useful. Getting it? So the only means that you have is your own current condition. What else is entirely accessible to you? Please tell me. What else is entirely, necessarily, unconditionally, and always accessible to you? Please tell me. Are your specs always available to you? Is it unconditional? No. Is that pen always accessible? Even the air might not always be accessible. Who knows? Are your clothes always accessible? Food? Wall? Anything? Even the earth right under your feet might not always be accessible. Who knows? But there is one thing that is always accessible, provided you are conscious. What is it? Your own situation. So that is the means. That is the only means. If you want to come to the reality, if you want to enter the truth, know the truth, then the ego is the only means. The ego is the traveler, and the ego is also the road. You have to look at yourself, and that is the only way to reach the truth. That does not mean that your own face is the truth, but your face is the starting point. It is the means. It is your end of the road. One does not know what lies at the other end, but now at least you have a road to travel. Getting it? This is a radical departure from the usual concepts of truth or godliness. What is the usual concept? Forget yourself and keep thinking of divine. Or present yourself to the divine, submit yourself to the divine, serve the divine, be devoted. Don't look at yourself. Ask your eyes to keep looking at the great divine. Don't look at yourself. These are not adjacent concepts. These are not sister concepts. Rather, they are opposites of each other. True wisdom is about looking at yourself, whereas the kind of religion we find prevalent all over the world, that's about looking at anything except yourself. Except yourself. To your own situation, simply close your eyes and focus on this concept, that concept, travel to that far off place. Keep thinking of that particular story, keep repeating that particular name. Do everything with every other object in the entire universe. Look at the entire universe. That's all right. You'll still be called religious. We say, about many religions that they are very liberal. You could look at this, you could look at that, you could do this, you could do that. No. This is not being liberal. This is the same kind of trick that the questioner here is trying to play upon the teacher, giving the teacher the entire universe to pick from. So you can go and find the rivers respectable, or you can go to the mountains or the deserts or this or that. You can have this story, that story. You look at the religious literature of the entire world, and such colorful, vibrant and diverse kinds of stories you will get. And often it is said there that everything under the sky is potentially holy and divine and fine. So it seems a lot of width is being given. No, not really. One little thing has been excluded. One little thing. What is that one little thing that has been excluded when it comes to the search for reality? The self. The self. You can look at anything and say, well, this is venerable. I see divinity in this. Look at the different regions of the world, and there would be hardly anything, I repeat, that one or the other religion does not worship or find of significance. Right? And there are hundreds of religions being practiced even today in the world. And you pick up any random object, and some or the other religion I am saying would be according some significance to it. If you will search, you will find, yes, some religions, they attach very special significance to wood. Color white, some religion finds that color very special. Color black, some other religion. Color pink, color purple, yellow, blue, green, maroon, the entire spectrum. So it seems that the world is quite an accommodative place, a very liberal one, no? Everything is acceptable as an indicator of reality, as a gateway to reality, in some religion or the other, right? There are religions that worship old people. There are religions in which the young one is called a form of God. There are occasions when little girls are held as embodiments of the divine, of the feminine divine. And obviously we know of grown-up men. They are held as sacred in more than one tradition. Are you getting it? So everything is all right to be looked at. But there is one thing that the popular traditions seem to be consistently missing. And what is that one thing? The mirror. The mirror. It will be very difficult to come across a religious tradition that takes the mirror as divine. Even bricks can be divine. Sometimes even dirty water can be divine. Anything can be divine, but the mirror is difficult to be taken as divine, and that is the radical significance of this story. All religion is about coming to your own truth, and hence the mirror. It is not about projecting divinity here and there. If you are the projector and you are mired in darkness, then the reality that you are speculating hither thither would also be a very dark reality. No? Getting it? The mirror. You are the rope, you are the road. You have to start with yourself. And that's why not only is there an identity between the personal truth and the universal truth, Atma and Brahm, very beautifully and very daringly, there is an identity between the personal self, which could even be false, and the universal truth, Aham Brahmasmi. Atma is Brahm. That sounds kind of acceptable. But even Aham is Brahm. In what sense? That it is the road that takes you to the truth. And because this road ultimately ends at the truth or dissolves into the truth, therefore, at its upper end, the road itself is the truth. Both the identities, Atma and Brahm, the first one, and Aham and Brahma, the second one, have one thing in common. Truth does not lie outside of you. Aham is your perceived self, Atma is your pure self. In one case, it is being said that your pure self is identical with the universal truth. In the other one, even more radically, it is being said that Aham too is Brahma. But what is common is that you don't have to look anywhere else. Forget about your pure self. Even your impure self is of tremendous value. Your pure self is anyway identical with the absolute truth. But even your impure self, Aham, is of infinite value. Why? Because that's your access point. That's where you start from. You have no other point to start from. One could even argue with some merit that when it comes to the exploration of truth, Aham is of more value than Atma. Tell me why? Because that is the only thing that is accessible. How many of you are Atmast, that is seated in the pure self? How many of you? At least not this one. Can't say much about Anuj, he might be. So then what is Atma? If you are not someone actually seated there, what is Atma to you? A concept, right? A concept. Is it something that you touch in a living way? Do you? No. You imagine it. It is not something that breathes within you. But there is one thing that you are always in touch with, very intimate touch. And what is that? Aham. Aham. Start from there. Do you now realize why I place so much emphasis on these reflections on the community? Because that is your only door to the truth. That is not some kind of an academic exercise. But it's not only about this little teacher. You look at the Sufi parable, teachers since the ages have had only one instrument. That's the mirror. That's the only job of the teacher, to show you the mirror, to push you to the mirror. The teacher can have no other means or method. The mirror is the means. You will have to look at yourself. It's not an option. It is the only means you have, your own life. And if you're not reflecting, you're not proceeding, and then you may keep wondering, it's been 1 year in the Gita program now, right? Why don't I seem to progress? Because you are a passive consumer of what I'm saying. Because I exist to serve as a mirror. When you look at me, I want you to look at yourself through me, like a mirror does. But you are content with looking only at me. So 10:30 to 12:30, you will look at me, feel satisfied, and go to bed. That defeats the entire purpose. My aim is to enable you to look at yourself through me. I'm not your destination. You are your own destination. You have to reach yourself. But you are coolly satisfied looking just at my face. What will you do with my face or my words? You have your own life to live, not mine. So you don't look at your life. You don't reflect. You don't write. Here it's easier for the Sufi. The student is standing in front, in person. Huh? So the master can just catch him by the scruff and show him the mirror. What do I do? There are so many thousands of you, and I can't come to each one personally. I can only request. And the request falls on deaf ears. If the request falls on deaf ears, I wonder, how are my teachings being received by your ears? If you can't accept my request, how would you have accepted my harsh teachings? If even a gentle request is so unacceptable. Yeah? The first thing you see is always yourself. I would go one up on it and say, not the first thing that you see is yourself. All the things you ever see are yourself. Not that you have to look at yourself at the first step of the journey. Wherever you are in the journey, you will have to keep looking at yourself. Because apart from that, you don't have recourse to anything. The truth is within. Why is that so difficult to comprehend or accept? The truth is within. Why do you want to run hither, thither? Why do you want to dabble in this method, that technique? Why? If your own situation is not understood, not seen for what it is, there is no other way. You'll have to be brutally honest. You look at yourself, what you see is your condition, your face, and you must immediately acknowledge who you are. That acknowledgement is at the root of all spiritual progress. Yes, I see what I am doing. Yes, I do. Yes, I see where I am coming from. And the so-called religious man, with great determination, avoids doing this. And when you go to a thing or a place, any object, just so that you can momentarily forget yourself, that is what is classically defined as entertainment. This is the very definition of entertainment. Going to something so that you can momentarily forget yourself. You anyway remain forgetful of yourself. But even the slight remembrance that you have hurts badly. Does it not? And that's when you want to go somewhere and drive fast and participate in some sport or whatever, some kind of sensual excitement, get drunk, dance wildly, watch a sensational movie that captivates your entire being. Why do you want to do all that? So that you can forget yourself for the while, as long as the movie lasts, or the match lasts. Have you watched yourself while watching a match? Try doing that. You are totally absorbed. You have been snatched away from yourself. You have been hijacked. That thing has taken you away from yourself. It's a kidnapping. And that's exactly the purpose. So that you don't have to look at. Now, what is all organized religion then? Entertainment. Think of that fancy story, that name, that place, that technique, that color, that ritual. Think of all that so that you can temporarily forget yourself. All that is just entertainment. And all entertainment is actually for those who are deeply dishonest. Deeply dishonest. My mother was here for the Janmashtami session and for the college session before that. So I was driving her around one evening, and there was an ass in the middle of the road. Don't smile that way. Donkey. Donkey. The harmless donkey, as we have, all around. No, it looked quite frail. You could count its ribs. And This is Goa, it's so green. So green. There's grass aplenty, food everywhere for the donkey. And yet it didn't look very old. And I honked and it stayed there in the middle, and the roads here are not very wide. So I was trying somehow to go past. And mother said, when it rains, donkeys lose weight, become thin, and look very emaciated, dried to the bone. I said, why? She said, that's how the folklore is. The donkey looks at all the greenery around and says, there is so much to eat that I didn't eat, and now others will eat it. And this worry totally drives him down. In contrast, when it is summers and the donkey looks around and finds not a blade of grass, then the donkey swells up even without eating. This may or may not happen, not factual, but it's a part of a story. And the donkey gains weight, feels really happy, fills up. I said, why? The donkey says, see, I ate up everything. Nothing is left there, which means if I can see no grass around anywhere, what does that mean? I ate up everything, and if I ate up everything, I ought to be healthy. I'll gain weight. And when there is actually food available, the donkey almost dies of anxiety and envy. So much to eat, and I didn't eat anything. Because had I eaten anything, how come so much would have still remained to be eaten? Had I eaten anything, so much wouldn't have still remained to be eaten. If there is still so much greenery around, it proves I have not eaten anything. Not only have I not eaten anything, now others will come and eat away everything. So the donkey loses weight and becomes thin, ready to die. This is what happens when you look all over, all around, but not at yourself. The donkey has no idea of its own situation, but it's very eager to look this side, that side. This does not really happen. No, I didn't say this does not really happen. Let me complete. I said this does not really happen with donkeys. It happens with humans. Donkeys are not so donkish. No donkey is so much of a donkey that he would be so stupid. What my mother narrated was just a tale with hardly any factual basis. It was not about donkeys. Getting it?
Pranam Acharya Ji. Acharya Ji, I just wanted to ask, my understanding from this story was that one must look at the mirror till the point that one sees the body and the ego as part of Prakriti. So just, is that understanding correct, sir? And if yes, then that point is not coming for me personally. So is is there a way, is something more than knowledge is needed, or one should look at prakriti more closely and at oneself more closely through empirical observation? Can this realization come if this understanding is correct?
No, you want to have a realization in advance. It's almost like those experiments in class 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th, where you knew in advance what the result of the experiment should be. So you kind of reverse engineered the result to come to the observations, right? You don't observe to come to an expected result. You can't say, I am observing so that I will know that I am just Prakriti. You observe as a desireless observer, motiveless observer, unbiased observer. If you already know what you are going to observe, then what have you observed but your own expectation? What have you observed? And expectations are wonderful things. If there is something that you want to see, you will see. That's how all superstitions have flourished through history. Go to some place, some remote village or an unpopulated hill, and the sun is setting and light is dimming, and someone says, look that side. The great lord of our clan is rising. And if he insists, and so do 5 other people, you too will start observing the lord of the clan rising from that particular direction. Expectations are great things. You must observe free of conclusion, free of bias, not as duty, not as habit, not as action, but as nature. You are the observer. Observation is joy. You don't observe like a student eager to gain marks or a policeman eager to catch thieves. Yeah? Or a lustful man eager to get a glimpse of the other gender. These 3 also apparently do observe, right? The student is conducting an experiment and observing the objects in the experiment. But here the observation is very, very biased. The experiment is about calculating the value of acceleration due to gravity. The student knows in advance that the whole thing must come to 9.8 meter per second square. Now, if the observations somehow add up to 6 meters per second square, would the student admit these observations? No, because the student is biased in advance. So that is not observation. And in the evening, there is the police patrol. Right? and they're looking around, sniffing for mischief, miscreants. Even that is not observation. Because to them, anybody there is now suspicious. How many of you have been intercepted by them at some point or the other? Many of you, right? Because they are determined in advance. Anybody who is seen here walking around or doing something at 3 in the morning is suspicious. So this is not observation. And some Babaji tells you, if you will observe at the knot of your heart here, you will find colorful rings of the kind that your kids play with. Ringa ringa roses, pocket full of posies. Haisha, haisha, they all fell down. And you, even as an adult, will start seeing rings inside your heart. Colorful, sparkling rings. And you will call yourself a serious meditator. This Acharya does not know anything. When I meditate, I see all kinds of divine colors within. That is the blessing of my Babaji. No, this is not observation, sir. You saw those rings because you were told in advance of those rings. Not only were you told in advance, you are also instructed that if your meditation, your sadhana has had any sincerity, then those rings would be seen. And if you don't see those rings, then you are some fallen evildoer. And all your spiritual effort over the decades had gone waste. Now, who would afford to say that he doesn't see rings? Say you don't see rings and you become just like that naked king. You know, the king is wearing a great dress, very finely woven. But only those who are pure of heart will see the dress. Now the king is dead naked. But no one dares say that I doesn't see anything, because if you declare that you don't see anything, that you are, then you are not pure of heart. Or you have some malintentions towards the king. And so everyone says, I too observe the dress. Yes, there is a dress, I observe it. That's not observation. We sing, जब काम भरा हो आँख में तब सच नजर नहीं आता है. The eye full of desire will never perceive facts. How will you observe with desire? Whatever you see will be corrupted. Just as you project your desire over external objects, you project your desire over yourself also. You put on a lot of makeup and you'll successfully fool yourself that you are pretty or handsome, because that's what you had anyway intended right at the beginning of the makeup process, no? And now you have invested 2 hours in it and maybe 10,000 rupees also. Having invested 2 hours and 10,000 rupees, how will you dare admit that now you are looking more like a whatever? Getting it? Just be honest. And that is a quality that cannot be taught. It can be invoked. To some extent, it can even be induced. But nobody can teach you to be honest. Observation is just a thing of very, very, very childlike honesty. There is no trick here. It is very, very simple. Just see. Just see what you are doing, who you are, what you have become, what your real intention is, what you are hiding, what you are displaying. That's all. and avoid big concepts. Because I explain classical and scholarly verses to you and works of philosophy like the Shunyata Saptati, therefore I have to deal with classical terms. I attempt to simplify them for you, but when it comes to my own inner world, there exist no terms. When it comes to my daily casual conversations, I never use jargon, because the matter is anyway so very simple. I don't need the help of these crutches. But if the shlok mentions a word, obviously I will go into it and explain it to you. Those who are around me, I would never utter to them, this is Prakriti. Prakriti is a technical term. Why do you need to use that? That's a beautiful term. Don't get me wrong. But when it comes to the simple, obvious truth, you don't need to put jargon there. And that you can take as some kind of indicator of real inner progress. Simplicity, directness in observation, and the reduction in the inclination to be complicated, to use technical terms, to talk of faraway things. In fact, as you progress, you keep becoming simpler. And you become progressively so simple that those who are complex, they will definitely fail to identify you as someone deep, wise, progressed, or spiritual. Because you will become as ordinary as a little child. You will use so little jargon, just as the child uses very little language. And the child sometimes looks so stupid. Or does it not? But you want to look wise. So you want to say, when I look at my face, I find a particular rearrangement of the 24 tattvas of Prakriti as outlined in Sankhya Yoga. So how do I reconcile with the egocentric approach of Vedant? This is not wisdom. This is trying to weave knots to simplify things. Will that work? Remember Lao Tzu. If you are very obviously wise, then you are a fraud. If you are very obviously religious, then you are deeply irreligious. Is there any complication in this story? And such parables work. They work because they are as simple as the truth itself. Look at the storyline. The man comes to the teacher, "Sir, I want reality." The teacher shows him the mirror. The end. That's all. Go home. That's how the truth is. Simple, uncomplicated. And that's what you have to come to. It's not about learning this or that or becoming a master of spiritual literature. It's about dropping your notions. It's about forgetting what you have always considered as important. You are great when you don't have any concept of greatness. You are wise when you don't have an image of wisdom. Unload yourself. Huh? Unload.
Thank you.
Just download the Acharya Prashant app, and there you go to the community section, and you have live testimonials streaming in at the rate of one every 5 minutes. I'm seeing lives change in thousands, if not millions, every day in front of my own eyes. We are doing it. We have actually done it.
Join the community of more than 2 lakh participants on the Acharya Prashant app. Your first month is completely free. You'll get full access to Gita Mission. On the app, you will get regular live sessions, daily exclusive conversations with Acharya Prashant, access to the vibrant Gita community, wisdom exams, curated news, audiobooks, quotes, and much more. Search Acharya Prashant on Google Play Store or Apple App Store and download now.